Hello everyone and welcome back to Unity of Command. This is the campaign scenario Edelweiss from the Axis campaign of the main game. July the 25th, 1942. Army Group A races towards the oil fields in the Caucasus foothills. Soviet forces can offer little resistance, having just withdrawn from the Donbass under chaotic circumstances. Geography of the area presents a challenge for both sides, with vast distances making logistics difficult. Right. Contrary to this description, the geography is actually pretty easy. There are vast distances. This is a huge map, but it's also an easy one. It's listed to be easy, and it is quite easy, even to obtain a brilliant victory without spending any prestige. As you can see, the Soviet forces outnumber the Axis around 2-1, which is fair. Neither side receives any reinforcements on this map. That's actually kind of a lie. We do, in a weird way. I'll explain. But the Soviets receive nada, and they don't have any special actions either. The Axis forces have an air attack per turn, a logistics action per turn, and a bridging action per turn, and this one is key to our success here. So it took me quite a few tries to get through this one, but once you know what to do, then it's actually a really easy one, and you can reliably obtain a brilliant victory. So getting a major victory is extremely easy. You don't need to apply any special tactics or strategy. Just keep pushing forward slowly and surely, and you will get everything in time. Alright, so as I've said, this is a huge map. We don't need to get to like the southernmost part of it. And with one main supply route going through the map, it's also kind of interesting. Let's take a quick look at the objectives. The first one is quite far into the south. It's Maikop, oil production center, to be taken by the end of turn 5. And taking this oil production center by the end of turn 5 is the trickiest part of a brilliant victory, because as you can see, although the terrain is clear and open, we have quite a few rivers. So there is one right here. So right in front of us we have another one, and the third one that we all need to cross, and we need to clear it out, clear out the path, because we need to secure our supply route from the north. So basically everything up to Maikop, this whole path needs to be captured, and in under 5 turns. So this is quite tricky, and I'm going to show you exactly how it can be done. I can show you right now already. So as you can see here, there are two parts where there are a few areas where you can raise bridges. Here's one that's crucial, and here's another one. Basically what you need to do is you need to propel all your fast moving strong forces, your armored spearheads, from the northeast sector of the front line, using a newly built bridge that you need to build on turn 1. And as soon as you can, build a bridge here, which you will need to use to circumvent the Soviet defenses in this area, because otherwise you simply won't be there in time to defeat the AI forces. In the south, the terrain is rugged, as I've said, but it's not that bad. We don't need to dip into it too much. So let's get back to the objectives real quick. We also have then the northern pass. Open up the way towards the Black Sea coast to be taken by the end of turn 7. We need to do a bit of mountain climbing to get this one, but otherwise it's a fairly easy one to capture. Then in the far southeast we have Mozdok, jump off point for further advances across the Terek, to be taken by the end of turn 9, which is actually not bad. If you can capture Maikop on turn 5, you can launch your panzer divisions towards the east, and hopefully they remain in supply. And as I've said, the Soviets receive no reinforcements, so this is what they have to fight you with. They'll dig in, they'll get entrenched, and they'll take up some reasonable positions, but otherwise they're okay. So the only tricky one is really Maikop. Then we have two further ones. Elista in the far northeast, surprisingly, captured this remote town for flank security, to be taken by the end of turn 10. We'll get back to this in a moment. And Novorossiysk, which is on the far southwest, so the opposite end of the map, main base for the Soviet Black Sea Fleet, also to be taken by the end of turn 10. The way this map works is that if you're aiming for a major victory or a standard victory, you can leave one of your tank units here, and you'll relatively quickly clear out all the Soviet formations, and you can just march one unit or a tank, whatever, across to capture this point. But we don't have the luxury to do that, because if you do that, you will not get a brilliant victory. So what you need to do is, as soon as you can, reallocate your quick-moving forces towards the southwest, and the slow-moving infantry, so the standard infantry divisions, will have to pick up the pace and capture this town, which is not very tricky, but you know, it's definitely more difficult than it might look at first glance. All right, supply. So Elista has a supply by its own. It has a range of 12. It's off-road, and overall the Soviets, basically you can see that the Soviet supply sources are kind of beyond or behind their own victory hexes, but the only one that is on road is this one in Novorossiysk with a range of 8. I don't think you can cut off the Soviets here from supply, not that you have the time to do so anyway, and the forces are pretty weak, so you can clear out the map quite effectively. Really, once you capture Maikop on turn 5, then everything else should fall with relative ease. As for ourselves, we have an off-road supply source in the northeast, and that's actually a tricky one, because the first try you might build a bridge here, and that's not a good idea. You need to preserve your bridging special action on turn 1 to build a bridge here, so that you can, you know, capture your objectives in time. And there is no real purpose to this one whatsoever. Yes, it keeps your units in supply here in the northeast on turn 1, but afterwards we're gonna quickly connect up the road, and then, you know, they'll be supplied through the road itself. And we have our crucial supply coming from Stalino, which is Donetsk, I think, today, and it has a range of 1, and every turn we can raise its range by 1. So at the beginning it's pretty pathetic, but by the time we finish the map, it's going to be an excellent supply source, and yeah, we absolutely must rely on this one. All right, forces. As for ourselves, we have 4 Romanian standard infantry divisions. I know that some of them are called cavalry and some of them are called mountain, but they're all standard infantry divisions. They're pretty worthless, as you know. We have a few standard infantry divisions. I'm going to actually reorganize a lot of them. The map is huge, and it takes them quite a while to get anywhere, and we can use their steps to reinforce better, or, you know, better, either stronger units or units that are in better positions. But their task is going to be to clear out the remnants of this little Soviet army group here. We also have 3 tank divisions, panzer divisions. They're all veteran, they're pretty good, and 1 motorized division, and the 5th SS division, Viking, which is pretty good. It has 5 steps, it's veteran, and it has a Sonderkraftfahrzeug 250 special step, which is identical to the recon one in the Blackturn DLC. It's named differently and it has a different icon, but otherwise it's the same. So we are going to actually try to reinforce these units to have more steps, and this will lose its experience level, but it will regain it throughout the map, so that's fine. So we're gonna do a bit of a shuffling with our forces. As for the Soviets, there are no tank divisions, but there are quite a few T-34s attached here in the north, and yeah, in other areas as well. No green units, quite a few veteran units, like in the southeast, you know, around in the south around the victory hexes, and this one is their best unit overall. It's a cavalry corps, There are 2 cavalry corps, both have T-34s attached to them. This one is veteran, so this is actually a relatively formidable Soviet unit. But other than that, everything else is kind of a pushover. Nothing really stands a chance against your better units. So you just need to make sure you don't get bogged down. Alright, one final thing to know, the reinforcements. This is the Taman Peninsula here. And what's really interesting is that you can spawn units already on turn 1 here, but obviously it's not possible because it's in the AI's hands, it's in enemy hands. But once you capture this region, then you can spawn 2 units, 1 Romanian and 1 German standard infantry unit, but they both have a pioneer special step. And unfortunately, by the time you get there, you cannot reallocate that specialist step from the Romanians, where it's relatively worthless. And they can assist greatly in the capture of Novorossiysk. I think it's easy to capture even without them, but with the resistance, it becomes trivial. Alright, so strategy. Build a breach here and try to get here as fast as you can. Propel your fast units forward, force a crossing and clear out everything here. It's not going to be difficult. You can simply move around this river here, clear out the next batch, and as fast as you can get here to this bend in this river and to the Kuban River and build a breach here. The AI will put up a strong resistance here on the bridge itself, on the main bridge on the supply route, but you can circumvent it, circumnavigate it, and that's the point, that's the key to your success. You have to get to Maikop early because the AI is going to position this very, very strong unit and entrench it, and capturing Maikop is going to be quite costly indeed. Once that's done, you're basically secure. So let's see how it went. First we raise the range, as in every turn we're going to do the same, raise the range of that supply source, and we need to force a crossing and also clear out the supply route for ourselves. We cross the river with these 2 infantry units so that we occupy the areas of control of this unit, and before we move with the tank, with the 2 panzer divisions, we at least can use them to help out, on this front line. The infantry alone won't be able to deal with these very strong units, so they need to at least be weakened. And that's exactly what we're doing here. You need to move here with this motorized division, so you can set up the bridge, and move the other tank across. And this attack gets very lucky. We remove its specialist step, the T-34, so this unit is practically worthless. I moved across, and then I removed this unit. I don't think we could have used this very well in the future, and the point is that its 5 steps will come in handy, reinforcing better units or better situated units. Now we need to clear out the supply route, so it's absolutely essential that we remove this unit, and we do. We also must remove this unit. Unfortunately, sometimes the air attack and this unit together can either destroy it or completely suppress this unit, but this time it didn't happen. If that happens, you can propel your tank already across the river, but now this unit is relatively strong. I know it's quite weakened, but it's on the other side of a river, and we cannot risk not taking the river, so we must use our tank to destroy it. And since it still had another action because it overran that unit, we just simply removed the final Soviet unit north of the Don. I moved this unit here again to occupy the area of control of this one, so the SS can move as far forward as absolutely possible, and we attack that unit as well to weaken it for future references. A bit of reshuffling, make sure that your supply route is intact. The Romanians are okay beyond the river, the Soviets cannot really do anything about it, and now it's time for the AI's turn. As usual, the AI will try to block our progress, and they also occupy their its victory axis with their best units. And once they dig in, which they will, these are actually quite formidable, especially this one. The terrain is a bit rough, so you cannot easily approach it from many angles. Here in the north, as I said, they try to bunch up in our faces as usual, so That's fine. These units are pretty worthless. The only really good one is this veteran cavalry unit. And yeah, okay, against our weakened units, of course, they might stand a chance, but otherwise they're not really scary. They cannot do anything against our better units, and we have quite a few of them. All right, turn 2. Raise the range of the supply source again, and removed. I will keep removing weakened units. It's easier to transfer them kind of to forward, to advanced units by simply reorganizing them and reinforcing the ones at the front. These 2 units are out of supply, have been out of supply, but that's fine because we're going to connect up the road and they're gonna, plunge across here anyway. So they'll be back in supply. Right, I already reinforced the SS. It loses its veteran level, but that's fine. Doesn't really mean anything. It's gonna regain back the level of experience after some battles. Right. As you can see, the Soviets don't really stand a chance. And I already start reinforcing the units in the south, in the northeast, because they will have to do a lot of fighting here. And this fight goes particularly bad, unfortunately. And yes, so the standard infantry divisions, which are a tiny bit stronger than the Jägers and the Gebirgsjäger units here, but they're also slower, so I'll allocate them here. They're not gonna make the march down, all the way down to the Caucasus Mountains. That's not gonna happen. Okay, we use our air attack. It becomes it's very successful. We suppress 3 steps. Now it's time to attack, and that was also extremely successful. This unit is practically out of commission. So is that one as well. And now we clean up. The Romanians are weak, but at the very least 2 of them can take care of that weakened unit. And yes, now all of these Soviet forces are suppressed, so I send a motorized division and just clear them out. This is a very lopsided battle. And we also come here. I don't care that we have 2 suppressed steps, so only 3 steps active. If they attack across the river, then they're gonna have a bad day. And it's just literally on the road itself, and the Soviets stand no chance of capturing any of it. As you can see, this unit is never gonna make it anywhere near the front line, so I remove it. We can use its steps later to reinforce other units as well. I made sure that the tank would be in supply, nothing can cut it off. Theoretically they can, but if they do, then they'll all be out of position. And for the price of this one unit being unable to attack the next turn, I'm willing to pay that. So I kind of make, this is kind of a bait. I want to lure the AI into making a suboptimal decision, but it doesn't take the bait, so that's it. In the northeast, our position is not great, to put it mildly, and we still have a lot of ground to cover before we can reach our objectives. Yep. So as usual, the AI digs in. As I've said, these entrenched units will be extremely difficult to remove. Everything else is a pushover. So we first start by reinforcing the other mobile infantry unit, and then we raise the range of our supply source. After our air attack, this unit becomes quite weakened, and this is the only good unit the Soviets have, so we jump on this opportunity and remove it off the map. We also remove this poor infantry unit so that it doesn't get destroyed. And I made sure that we have supply running up and secure up until this point. This is the other side of the bridge. They theoretically can cut this one off, I think, if they really want to. They will be in a very bad position themselves, so the AI is not going for it. If we are back in supply, we outnumber the Soviets, so this should be a relatively easy battle. We are actually gonna roll extremely unlucky, so this is going to be tougher than it should have been, but whatever. Now as I've said, we are going around the river, which is kind of funny. And we need to secure the supply source, and this 1 tank division is actually going to remove everything from this area. Yeah, so not even funny. we reached the bridge, but we cannot attack across it. And the way the reason I moved this unit in two moves is because if I just clicked here simply, it would have taken another route, and the supply route wouldn't have been connected fully. But we build a bridge here, and this will allow us to cross the river the next turn. We remove the weak Romanian unit, infantry division, and we bring the rest of them south. They will have one task left, and that's to come up to here, to the Kuban River, and then walk towards the west and enable the reinforcements that we can receive on this peninsula. Right. Right. The AI wants to block our progress here, which is not going to work. Actually, they cannot block it completely, to block us completely from capture, by holding us at our newly built bridge, newly constructed bridge. So its situation is quite bad indeed, but it's already turn 4, and on turn 5 we need to capture Mycop, so we still need to hurry. In the northeast, our situation is great, so up until this point, and I don't understand this, so all our stats are better than the Soviet units. We have 4 attack and 3 defense stats, and they have 2 respectively. And the result is that they lost 1 step and we lost 5. I know that they outnumbered us 6-5, but this is ridiculous. The AI for some reason rolled very lucky in these battles. Alright. That's the exact revenge on another front line here. We need to clear out everything because of the supply, but this is not a real challenge, to be perfectly honest. This is our target this turn, the unit with the NKVD specialist step, and yeah, as you can see, it's not really a threat. We push ahead, and this unit is already elite, and nothing the AI has can really threaten us anyway, in any way at all. And we keep receiving reinforcements as well from the units we reorganized. This unit is practically of no importance. Next turn we need to capture the city, which is going to be a bit tricky, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, and in the northeast our situation is not great. On turn 5, the first thing I do is remove the weakest units so we can reinforce the other ones. This one at least has 7 steps, so this alone should be able to slowly win the battle here. Our supply now is up to range 6, which is excellent. Even with supply 5, this unit was still in supply, so this is great. And now on this turn we need to capture the city, so we bomb it. And it whiffs, but what can you do? And at the very least it didn't ruin the city. And this one attack was, the first attack was very costly. For 3 suppression, we lost 3 active steps from veteran tank division. Unfortunately, you have to be prepared for a high price to pay when you need to capture this one. This is the only really difficult unit to beat. And so we now need to throw everything at this unit. Fortunately, it worked out. And this unit is dead, or close enough. That one is totally dead. And this allows us to propel this unit. This unit still could have attacked, by the way, to propel this unit towards the east. It's actually going to, I think, remain in supply, not that it matters. And yeah, and for the Romanians, it's time to enable our reinforcements. As of this moment, as you can see, the situation is pretty bad, at least in the south. It's pretty bad for the AI. These 2 units won't hold us for 5 more turns, because that's what they should be doing. This unit is not going to hold us for 2 turns. Yes, it's in an advantageous position, but it's very weak, even if it's veteran. And here in the east, if we can allocate enough forces, then these units are also going to be insufficient. So how about the northeast? Well, we need to remove them. So 4 against 2, that works out. And only this one Soviet unit remains, which has 6 active steps. That's the only thing that keeps us from capturing this victory hex. Alright. Our turn 6, we make progress towards Arista, not towards Novorossiysk and the reinforcements. Our supply is now up to 7, yes, correct. And that our tank ran out of supply, and we're going to actually pay a high price for that, as you will see. But I thought it was still safe here. It's not, as you will see. And I prepare units forward, and this way our supply runs securely up until here. We're all fine. Yeah, and we still have a few turns to capture Mozdok here in the southeast up until the end of turn 9. So 3 more turns after this one. We need to capture this as soon as possible. That is next turn the latest. So bombing run, use our best unit, bang, and that worked out perfectly. At this moment I know we can capture it. Obviously, even if it moves back into position, it's going to have 1 active step remaining, so that's not going to work out well for the AI. So yeah, I'm going to use the Romanians to occupy it, by the way, because this is the least the least valuable unit I have around, and so that's still better than what the Soviets have. Here in the northeast, our battles continue, and quite in a quite pathetic way. And I know I'm attacking into a unit that has more steps than we do, but this attack was still quite pathetic. I mean, the result was laughable. Now we reinforce this unit because it's quite forward, and the Soviet turn 6 begins. This city stands no chance, probably, at first glance, of resisting us. Novorossiysk absolutely stands no chance of resisting us, so let's see. And it's not that the AI cannot really do much, it doesn't have many units, but it manages to cut us off, which was actually a pretty good idea. I didn't know it could move like that. I don't know, I don't know why the area of control didn't work. Probably it's because this area is not under our control for some reason. But whatever, this unit is going to be unable to attack the next turn, and that's pretty painful. Alright, it actually received reinforcements in steps, so that's something we need to consider. Our turn 7 begins, and we need to reconnect the road up to here. And here our breakthrough was successful, and now we need to make sure that this unit remains in supply, because we absolutely need it for the next turn to be able to fight. And I figured that this one should not be able to cut us off, and it won't, so we're good. Now we need to finish the battle here, and we need to capture this victory hex this turn. And the Romanians failed to destroy this unit, but of course that's not going to be a problem for the SS. We capture it and leave. The next turn the Romanians can occupy it to secure it. Not that it's needed, by the way, the AI doesn't spawn anything. And I was thinking that my logic was that Novorossiysk is gonna fall, because it is gonna fall, end of story. So I decide to propel it eastwards so that it might be able to help out in the capture of Mozdok. As you will see, this is not gonna be the case, but that wasn't necessarily a bad idea. Alright, we raise our supply range, and we actually capture the peninsula, and we managed to spawn the units, which is great. And we can get the units closer, quite close to Novorossiysk, which means that on turn 8 it's going to be under attack, direct attack by the pioneers. These are both veteran, and they are absolutely great. They're going to immediately remove the entrenchment of this naval garrison, making it much weaker. Alright, let's try to remove this unit from the map. It shouldn't pose a big threat. And we already bombed the city itself. It's quite worthless, but we don't need to we don't need to waste our air attack on this one for sure. Alright, AI turn 7, entrenchment, and we are back in to our turn. There is nothing the AI can do. It literally has 4 units, and now all is left to finish this off. It's our turn 8. Our range is up to 9, supply range. Here in the east we need to make progress. Yes, this is an unlucky attack, I mean an unfavorable one, and we suffer accordingly, but we still need to weaken this unit by any means necessary. and now we outnumber it 8 steps to 4, so hopefully it will collapse. Actually, our supply reaches here. That's precisely how far I went. The AI can, I mean, I don't mind if the AI decides to cut us off, then we can just walk into the city X. Obviously, this is not what the AI is going to choose. So we're going to remain in supply, and we will be able to hopefully do something about this. We still have 2 further turns to capture the city hex, by the way. All right. In the southeast, we need to start our attack. This unit, I don't know why the AI chose that. It dug in and thereby removed some of its active steps. Only 2, but I don't think it was worth it. Well, I don't know if it would have stood a chance anyway. Unfortunately, it still survives, which is really weird. But we need to capture this city hex the next turn, so I opt for attacking it. And at this moment, yeah, we have actually captured it with our weakest tank unit, but nothing the AI has can dislodge it, and we can still recapture the point the next turn. So I know we have won here. We definitely have won here. That's for sure. And I think we have won here as well. We still have 2 further turns to capture it, as I've mentioned, so we're all good. The SS is no longer needed, well, anywhere, but to the south it's definitely not needed, so we move it to the west. We secure the victory X, and we use the Romanians to breach the Soviets. I don't care for losses about this unit. We still have another turn to capture this, but it's no longer entrenched, and so I think we can just, take care of this one. We certainly can. And we can use one of the depleted Romanian troops to capture the victory hex. Alright. Everything is in supply, from our side I mean. Not so much for the Soviets. Well, actually both of the AI's units, or sorry, 3 out of the 3. No, only one of them is in supply, this one. Funny. So there is not much the AI can do. But it cuts us off, and this was a pretty nice move, I think. Also, it receives a bunch of steps, and obviously it spent it on... Well, it could only spend it here, because the other ones were out of supply at the beginning of the turn, so they cannot be reinforced. Alright. +1 range up to 10. And this... There was a reason I did this. This tank unit won't be able to attack the next turn, but it might be able to move into the city, even if it's out of supply. So my thinking was that if it can enter the city with when the infantry clears it out or something along those lines, then we'll be fine. Of course, we can remove these units from the map. That goes without saying. And I'm not sure that the Soviets will spawn. They won't, by the way, but I wasn't sure that they would spawn more units, so I decided to move back to the victory hex. This unit is not very strong, but it's elite and it has 2 active steps. It's a Panzer Division, so it's not gonna fall. Here in the southwest, everything is secure, and now it's time to finish it. There is literally only 1 enemy unit on the map, so we attack it, we bomb it, and this turned out great. So it's time to remove it off the map. Finally, after so many battles, and we got back to veteran, or got into veteran level, and we simply walk into the city hex. The end. I think this was a very clean victory. No enemy units in sight. Yes, the supply line is kind of cut here, and we have cut the Soviet supplies off pretty neatly, I would say. So this is a very easy map, as I've said. The only challenge is figuring out how to allocate your forces, otherwise you're gonna win every single time. Build a bridge here over the Manik River, and over the Kuban River here. So these are the keys to your success, and don't stick around and defeat all the Soviet forces with your tanks. Just send them forwards. They're gonna be needed in the south, and if you just lend a hand in the first turns, then the infantry is going to be more than sufficient to take care of the enemy forces. Actually, I knew it looked kind of dicey in at some point here in the northeast, but I got very unlucky with the battles and the dice rolls, so it should have been even far cleaner, by the way, than this. So don't worry about this one. Send some slow moving infantry here, and keep reinforcing your units there, and eventually the Soviets are just going to run out of troops practically. As I've said these 3 victory hexes are kind of trivial in my opinion. Just follow my actions overall in the general sense, and you're going to win every time. I really like this scenario because unless you get extremely unlucky, you're gonna win all the time, and there is a good sense of progress here on this map. All right, that was Edelweiss. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.